welcome to this edition of the Banner Press Sports Corner. Thanks for tuning in on your preferred podcast platform. I'm Nicholas Hodel, sports writer at the Brenham Banner Press, and one of the University Interscholastic League's biggest state championships is on the horizon as the UIL Spirit State Championships are set to take over Fort Worth beginning on Thursday. Both Washington County schools are among the 592 teams scheduled to compete for a state championship in 11 different divisions in what may be the most unique UIL state championship event. And joining me this week in the Sports Corner ahead of Brennan's participation in the 5A Division II Spirit State Championship is the captain of the Brenham Cheerleading team, Kailyn Stugart. Thank you so much for popping in this week.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you guys got a chance to showcase your routines on Sunday to the community. Brett, you guys, Burton as well, our other county school, Belleville, LaGrange, also there. Just how neat was that to have everyone in that environment on Sunday?
Well, it was really nice because it's not something we've ever done before, and it was also really interesting to see because we're all different divisions, so it was really nice to see what those different divisions bring with having different numbers of girls, different levels of skill, so it was really neat to see what different divisions bring to the competition because we usually only see our own division.
Yeah, and it's a big difference, too. If you guys allowed up to 30 participants, Burton up to 12, I think 4A somewhere in between, so there's quite a big difference, and we had talked a little bit on Sunday just how much you guys can do with 30 girls, just how much more involved could you tell that your routine was compared to some of the other schools that were there Sunday?
Yeah, being able to have so many girls, we're allowed to add more depth to our routine. There's a lot more skill level that we can have. Having so many girls, we can add more stunts, we can have more depth, we can have more rows. So it really just adds to the routine as a whole. There's a lot more characteristics that you can employ. It adds a lot more freedom to the routine than a smaller squad would usually have.
Yeah, and you can just kind of tell here with you obviously got the ones up top with the signs here, and then I think about two different rows of big rows of girls that can really fill up that mat.
We have a lot of freedom that we get to play with having that many girls.
Yeah, and that's got to make the whole process grueling. Back in August when the whole thing started.
It has its ups, but it has its downs because there's a lot more to organize when you have that many girls. There's a lot more factors that you have to think of and keep organized, and so it has its ups, but it has its complications too.
Yeah, and of course one of the things that I learned from talking to Coach Carrillo, you guys had choreo days in August and November, and the build up to this week and the state championships. Just how different were those 2 days in August at the start of the year and then in November when you guys reconvened for another full day of choreography?
Well, they were 2 9-hour practices. We flew in 2 choreographers to help us kind of set a base level for the routine, kind of figure out what we were going to do. And they were both really helpful. They kind of helped us set a borderline for what we were going to perform. And then we kind of figured out what all our girls were capable of doing. And we kind of tweaked it to what worked best for us. But they were long days, but our moms kind of came together and they helped us. I mean, it's a big team effort to get through the day, but we all got there. At the end of the day, we're doing it for each other. So that's what kind of pushed us through.
Yeah. And certainly from November until now, I'm sure you guys have made plenty of changes to what you guys are going to do.
I mean, as of, I think about a week ago, we did a completely new fight song, and that's a fourth of the routine, a third on prelims. And we've changed stunts, we've changed tumbling in the cheer, we've changed a bunch, but it's come together.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the fight song because really with this being a unique event, this is kind of different from what fans are used to, football fans. We are used to seeing you guys down there on the track cheering the team on. Just how much more involved is that particular section of what you guys try to do in the fight song?
Well, the fight song's a lot different for state than it is for regular football games. We have a football game fight song that has been the same for years, and usually our state fight song is the same for years, but recently we've changed it, and I really think that it's going to help us with our score overall because usually that wasn't our highest score in our score sheet for the past couple of years, but it's definitely got a lot more. I mean, for our usual fight song, there isn't the stunts, there isn't the tumbling, there's not as many ripples, the words are completely different, so it's really just a whole different level to it that we don't get to bring to football games.
Yeah, when we caught up on Sunday, you kind of mentioned that some of those words have a lot more emphasis than what you would see on Friday too. Just, I mean, how is there a kind of a strategic way to kind of put emphasis on certain parts of what you guys chant during the state fight song?
Well, I mean, we focus more on using our diaphragm especially because fight song's at the very end, so we're all out of breath. We're all trying to push through that very last bit. We've got half the team stunting, so they're going through it. We've got a girl that's tumbling, so she's running out of breath, but it's more of just an emphasis on we're almost done, so we really just have to push, because at a regular football game, the fight song, it doesn't have that same level of difficulty, so it's a lot easier to get through. But I think we all just have to realize that we're almost done, so we just push through a little bit harder.
Yeah, is that still true with the football team putting up 50, 60 points as they sometimes did?
Well, yeah, that's true, especially this year with how well the Cubs did, and we definitely did the fight song a lot this year. But, I mean, I'm not complaining. It was worth it.
Yeah. Terrific run by the football team.
Yes, they did very good.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But the fight song being the third of the elements in prelims, fourth in finals. You got the band chant and then the crowd interaction routine as well. Just how much energy do you guys expend early on that kind of makes that fight song kind of almost like a last gasp kind of deal?
I would say the hardest part of the entire routine, and I think most girls would agree, is the cheer, because that's got our most difficult stunts, our most difficult tumbling. I think it's the longest part of the routine, and it's just got so much going on. There's shoulder sits, there's 2-man, 3-man stunts, there's tucks going everywhere. It's the hardest part. So the band chants, definitely we use a lot of energy, but the cheer is grueling to get through with all those different elements to push through. So once you get to fight song, it's pretty hard, but you have to realize that you're almost done. So you really just need to give it your all.
Yeah. Is that chant then probably did that take the longest to choreograph up the three?
It did. That had a lot of changes made to it. Not as much as the fight song, just because we completely redid the fight song. But the cheer definitely has had its changes. There was some tumbling change. The stunts have been changed a couple times. We've just had to adjust as the season goes on, like any team does. But it's worked out in the end.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And we have Brenham Cheerleading captain Kailyn Stugart in the Banner Press Sports Corner this week. Brenham making its return to the UIL State stage after not competing last year in Fort Worth. I know from your experience last year, did this year kind of feel like a different kind of year due to having to prepare for state this year?
It did. Well, having a new coach who's been amazing, she's really pushed us, and she's really experienced in state. She's placed with her previous school district, and she knows what she's doing. So I feel pretty adequately prepared this year. And last year we were pretty disappointed as a team to not compete, because it's something we've all loved doing. But so I think this year we have more of an appreciation to get to go back and do it this year, and we feel pretty prepared. So
just how did last year kind of go for you guys without that big competition to prepare for at that state level?
Well, we had been working for it. We started practicing, and I think it was June or July for states in January. So we'd started early. We didn't find out till pretty late that we weren't going to get to compete. But I do think that the state practices helped us perform better at things like pep rallies and football games. So it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't a waste of time. I really do think it pushed us as a team, because we have other things in second semester that we work for too, like tryouts and Mayfest usually we get to perform at. So it did push us as a team to still practice.
Yeah, and of course tryouts is almost like a whole new slate for you guys. So that's kind of something else in and of itself. But obviously knowing that it is going to happen, is there a kind of a collective agreement amongst the girls that you do have that bigger appreciation for it this time around?
I think everyone's pretty excited to get to go back this year. I mean, obviously our seniors last year didn't get to do that, but I think now we have a bigger appreciation for it now that we know what it's like to not get that opportunity. So now I think we're ready to take a hold and just get to do it one more time. At least the seniors get to do it.
At least for your seniors. That's always the big thing, to get the seniors another opportunity at it. And you guys, between you guys, Burden, LaGrange, Belleville, some of you guys had exchanged these spirit pins that looked really good, by the way. Looked really creative. How much is that part of the camaraderie of spirit cheerleading for you girls?
It's a really fun tradition. We've done it. It's a part of UCA camp that we go to in the summer. All the teams that are there make their own spirit pins, and we pin each other. And they've just got little sayings on them, like "You're doing great," or just little things like that. Because cheer, we might be competing against each other, but we're really all there to do something we love. So it's really just nice to get to bond with the other teams, because we're all going through the same thing. So it's just our way of extending a compliment to one another. another.
Yeah, probably especially in Sunday setting where you guys are not in competition with any of the other schools. I'm sure that probably helped you guys out.
Yeah, it was just nice to we were nervous to perform, but we weren't nervous in front of each other because we were just there together, just kind of showing off what we love to do in front of the people we love. So it was just a nice bonding opportunity.
Yeah, so definitely, and just really just for you guys and that UIL State experience. I know Burns captain said that the whole having the community come out and support you guys really simulated that state experience very well. Just get you to kind of feel something similar to the state competition on Sunday.
It does, because you're more so focused whenever you get out on the mat at state. You're focused on your coach, your teammates, but you're also focused on the people from your town that came to support you. You want to do it for them. You want to do it for your teammates, for them, and for yourself. So it kind of helped to simulate that feeling of doing it for the people that have supported me as I've gone through this journey through cheer throughout these years. So it was nice to get to go through that.
Yeah, and it's certainly probably been a big journey for you, I'd imagine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did 2 years of junior high and 4 years of high school, so it's been a while.
6 years now.
6 years.
6 years. Just
yes.
I mean, how much have you learned in each year of your cheerleading journey?
I've learned a lot. I mean, it's been a long journey. It's been 6 years, so I've learned a lot of different things. I've learned team building. I mean, with all the different things we have to do together, I mean, it's a routine, so there can't be a one-person cheer team. Everyone has to work together. So it's really just been a great opportunity to learn to work with others. And then once I got to high school, I got the opportunity to be in leadership and be a captain starting my freshman year. So that really just taught me how to not only be a leader, but how to adequately listen to other people's opinions and do what's best for a body of people rather than just myself. So it's taught me a lot over the 6 years.
Yeah, and being a captain for that long, I'm sure that's got to be really good for probably definitely for the resume going into college, I'd imagine. But I mean, it's just how much have you learned from being a captain at such a young age as that freshman to now being a big senior leader of the group?
Well, I mean, starting off as a freshman, you look up to the older captains because you want to be as good of a leader as them. I had some really great upperclassmen when I was an underclassman to kind of show me the right way to do it, and I really appreciate them to this day because I don't think I would be as good of a leader without them. But it's really just taught me that at the end of the day, I might have an executive decision, but I really have to listen to the other girls because I really value their opinion, especially because of how close and how bonded we are. So it's taught me how to go outside of just my own thoughts and kind of encompass how everyone feels. But also sometimes you have to make those executive decisions, and it's also taught me how to learn that sometimes you have to do what's best and not just what everyone wants. It's a learning and growing process over the years.
Yeah. And we have Brenham Cheerleading senior captain Kailyn Stugart with us in the sports corner ahead of the Brenham Cheerleading team's trip to Fort Worth in the UIL Spirit State Championships. You had mentioned before about just how much you guys have to do in the fall between preparing for state, obviously, football games, another big obvious, and then the pep rallies as well, and probably so many other things, homecoming parade, all the other different things you guys have to do. How hard has it been to balance everything out throughout the fall and now into the winter when basketball games have been picked up on your schedule?
First semester is definitely a busy one because we have all the obvious. We have the state and the football and the pep rallies. We cheer at volleyball. We've got, homecoming. It's a very busy season, but it's also so much fun. And I think just getting to do it together makes it worth it. And we do cheer because we love it and we love getting to be involved in the community. We've got all those community events like Meet the Cubs, community pep rallies. We do the pep rallies at the elementary schools because we just love, that's our job, is to support, not only just cheer for the football team, which is kind of what we're known for as cheerleaders, but is to support our community. So we like to do those events, but it's definitely a busy time of the year. There's never a dull moment. There's never it's rare to get an off day, and we definitely appreciate them when we can, but we're also very appreciative and grateful to get to do it because not all girls get to do it. It's a privilege to be a cheerleader. So.
Yeah, especially as you have to try out for a spot on the cheerleading team. Did it make it hard for you guys to actually have practice time dedicated to practicing the state routines in the fall?
Designated state practice time, yes, because that's why we had the 2 9-hour full day practices, just because we had to all come together on those 2 Sundays and really focus in just on state. But we also utilized the pep rallies to practice. We would use part of our state routine and perform that at pep rallies and use that as practice. We would use football games as practice, and we'd condition jumps, we'd condition our state cheer, and we would just utilize all the different aspects of things throughout the semester just to try and incorporate things to help practice for state when we couldn't have designated practice.
Yeah, and I know Coach Krill has said that obviously you guys are careful to not show off the whole thing before you guys are ready, but it seems like you guys kind of almost incognito kind of do it in a way, right?
We have to, I mean, it's a balance. You can't show off the whole thing. You don't want people seeing it until it's the day of competition because people are sneaky, but you got to practice if you want to do good. So it's a balance to figure out what you're going to show and what you're not going to show and when, and but she's pretty good at figuring out what we're okay to show and what we should keep secret for now.
Yeah, I mean, is there that kind of sneakiness, scouting kind of stuff in the cheerleading world?
I mean, I personally haven't seen it. No, I know nobody that's done it, but you still have to be careful. I mean, my coach, she would know better than I would, but it's definitely a thing, especially in your own division. People just want to see what the other teams are doing because you want to score well. So, but I mean, I think everyone's just so bonded normally. It's pretty rare, I think, now.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. Yeah. that's a good thing.
Especially with all the hard work put into it. Nobody wants to spoil it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the big thing for you guys. I mean, it's not like you guys get the film of everybody like in other sports. Like, it's very much that non-traditional of you have your routine, everyone has their routine, you all try to support each other all through it. And maybe there is a bad apple who tries to spoil it, who knows, but it's very much that non-traditional kind of sport vibe. And of course, I say sport, the UIL has spirit as a separate category within its between athletics and policy, music, all that good stuff. But I mean, just for you guys, I mean, how much of an athlete do you girls actually have to be with all the tumbling you guys have to do? Because it's a lot.
I mean, it is a lot. It's definitely, there's 2 different sides to cheer. There's school cheer and there's competitive cheer. And I think those are they're similar, but they're very different at the same time. And I think they're 2 different levels when it comes to athleticism, but there still is a level of athleticism to school cheer. I mean, especially considering what skill we have. When you have the tumbling, we have tumblers who can do tucks. We have a tumbler who can do a full-on dead mat. We've got stunters who can do 1-man stunts, 2-man stunts. I mean, there's definitely a level of athleticism to it when you've got one girl holding up a completely other girl on her own. There's definitely... There's a skill level to it that's completely unique compared to other sports.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, why we want to spotlight you guys in sports. I at least think that's a big part of giving you guys the spotlight too. And I mean, you guys aren't just cheering for all the other teams. You guys have your own big competition to have as well. So
we get to show off a higher level of skill at state that we don't get to show off during football season. So I think it's a unique thing that not everybody gets to see. So
that certainly is the case, and I think we've kind of mentioned like that difficulty of it. I guess between some of the other state routines you've done in your high school career, just where would you put this particular set of 3 elements as far as the degree of difficulty?
Compared to the other years, our fight song is different than it's ever been. And from what I remember, my freshman and sophomore year, that was usually our lowest scoring area. So I think now that we've got something different than we've ever shown off to the judges, I think it'll score a lot better. I'm pretty confident on it. We've gotten a lot of compliments about it from people that have gone to see it. So I feel pretty confident about that. I'm pretty confident in our cheer too, just because it has all those different aspects that we haven't shown off in the past, and we've got more advanced stunting than we've ever shown off. So I'm feeling pretty good on how we'll score difficulty wise.
Yeah. How much do you guys have to improvise like I'm doing right now? How much do you guys have to improvise on the fly sometimes?
We've definitely had to do that. I mean, I know in years past before I even got to the high school, they've had girls get injured. Actually, we've had girls get injured right before competition. We've had to tape ankles, tape wrists, and just still compete and throw it out there. And most of the time it works out. I mean, sometimes we've had to rearrange girls last minute. We've had girls who there's freak things go on and they can't show up, and we've had to completely rearrange a routine. But I mean, at the end of the day, the hard work pays off, and we've got a great coach who knows how to finagle around all those mess ups and stuff. But I really think at the end of the day we'll be prepared.
Yeah,
no matter what happens.
I know what LaGrange too. I kind of like one of their signs just kind of break apart on them like right at the start of their routine. So I'm sure they just had to kind of go with that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, things like that happen. When props break, we've had a megaphone break before. We've had the rim pop off. Actually, that's happened a couple times. We've had signs snap in half. That stuff just happens, and it's inconvenient, especially right now because, I mean, state's in less than a week. I don't know if they're going to be able to order a new one.
Yeah.
We'll see. I wish them the best luck. I hope they can get one.
Yeah, certainly. You hate for a freak thing to happen right before the big competition in that instance. And I guess, I mean, how does a megaphone break like that?
We've had some girls who really get into the spiriting. I mean, you can take the megaphone and you bang it on the floor and you yell into it. And we've had some girls that just bang it a little too hard on the floor and the metal rim just pops right off because they just get really into it.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, because that's one of the things that I noticed at Meet the Cubs. And you guys kind of came on out. I'm like, oh my God, this is completely different here.
It's very different than what you would see. First semester compared to state it's very different.
Yeah, and I guess even the basketball cheerleading too. I think that's probably very similar to volleyball.
Yeah, those are pretty similar
in that respect. Just having the chance on the sideline. So certainly have a new appreciation for you guys after kind of watching you guys go through all of that. But as far as what you might your future may have in store, do you feel like college cheer may be in your future?
For me personally, no, but we do have, I think there's a couple girls in my grade who are really interested in it. We have really talented girls. The junior class has a lot of very talented girls who I think will cheer collegiately. We've had the girl last year or 2 years ago who committed to LCU. We have very talented girls. So for me personally, no, but there's definitely a bunch that are definitely talented enough and will probably pursue it.
Yeah. So this is pretty much your last year of cheerleading.
This is it.
I mean, what have been some of the things that cheerleading's kind of given to you as you've poured so much time into the sport?
I mean, it's given me some of my best friends. Our senior co-captain, Emmy, she's one of my best friends. Our two junior co-captains are good friends of mine. It's hard to not get close to your teammates just because you spend at least an hour every day together, and it's so great to be able to do those things together. I mean, we go through the ups together and we go through the downs together, and I mean, you spend 4 years with your own grade and you spend years with the other grades, and they're some of my best friends, and it's given me opportunities to meet so many new people in the community, especially being in leadership and getting opportunities like this that not everybody gets to do, and I'm just really grateful to have gotten things like an opportunity to be able to be a cheerleader, because that's not something everybody gets to do.
Yeah, and of course, not just through high school cheerleading, but also in UCA as well. Mm-hmm. Just is the routine you guys are doing this week kind of similar to what you might pull out at a UCA competition?
Oh yeah, my freshman and sophomore year we competed. Actually, in my junior year we competed at some of the UCA competitions, and it's pretty. Usually, we would use our state routine and compete them, just to see how they would score, and then we would tweak based on how they scored and move, and that helped us when it came to state. So it's definitely, we would use that for a UCA competition. Yeah,
and of course, the big day is coming up very soon. Of course, we're recording this on a Monday. I think you guys might be gone by the time this comes to air on Thursday.
Thursday at 7 a.m. we leave. So
yeah, Thursday, 7 a.m. That, man...
It's going to be an early morning.
Yeah, it is going to be an early morning. I was just about to say, I'm not sure how much more than ordinary that might be an early morning, but...
Yeah. I mean, we have 7 a.m. practice every day, so it'll be a little bit earlier than normal just because we'll probably have to get there before 7, but it's not terrible. It could be worse.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you guys will be in Fort Worth by the time Burton performs, but they have an 11:39 start time by the performance order that's listed on the UIL website. You guys, Friday morning in the hall at 11:17 a.m. in that 5A Division II competition. If you guys make it to the state finals, it's on Saturday. I think Bird would have theirs a little bit later on that Thursday. And just what do you think the mark of success would be for you guys as far as how well you guys do this week in Fort Worth?
Well, our main focus right now is prelims. We're aiming for finals. Just we want to be able to compete on Saturday. That's just the big goal, is to make it to finals, because whether or not we could make first place Friday, we could make 20th place on Friday, but we just want to be able to get to that day 2. So whatever the judges tell us we need to fix, we can fix, and then we can finally get to that final score on Saturday.
Yeah, because that's also another unique thing. All you got to do is get in that top 20, and you're in the running. Day 1, and from that point, doesn't really matter, because day 2 is kind of a different deal, because you have the situational cheer added into the mix, inclusion in addition to the 3 disciplines you guys will already have done and kind of have the critiques for. As far as you being a captain, how alert do you have to be in that situation to kind of determine what's going to be the cheer you guys do?
Well, it definitely it's another thing added. So we're a little bit more tired, but we're also a little bit more motivated to be able to do it. So they'll announce a saying on the intercom, something along the line, something either offense related or defense related. Hold that line, move that ball, and whether I have to quickly determine if it's offense or defense, and I call the offense version of the cheer, or I call the defense version of the cheer, and the girls really have to be spiriting and be energetic, but they also have to be listening to what I call, so that way they know if the girls with the offense and defense signs know what side to use, they know what version of the cheer to yell. So, because if you mess that portion up, it's a pretty big deduction to say the wrong version.
Yeah,
so.
and then in a competition where I didn't kind of necessarily by division how many schools there, but that could be a 20-school difference right there.
Especially on the day 2. The scores are so close.
Yeah, and I imagine probably too close between 20 and 35 for that matter. So kind of get a close up both ways. And do you know if it's just limited to hold that line, move that ball, or they might throw a surprise at you?
There's a bunch of different ones they'll use. They could say something along the lines of, the Cubs have gotten the ball back and they're moving to the end zone. Like, it could be any phrase, and it's a lot of quick thinking. It's a lot of quick thinking, and I have to be on my toes. The girls have to be on their toes. So it adds a level of little bit of internal fear, just knowing that you have to be thinking that quick, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and I think I say that because I think those were the only 2 I heard on Sunday. But you guys probably have a whole host of things you're prepared for, I'd imagine.
Yes, we do. We've got an idea of different things that they'll say, so we just kind of did only those 2 on Sunday, just to kind of make it simpler. But we definitely have an idea of what they could call on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think one of the last things too is that when I did talk to Burton's captain, she said that perhaps Sunday will help her out with some of the nerves, and the team with some of the nerves that you guys have coming into such a big meet like that. Just from your experience, just how high can those nerves get for some of the girls, especially for someone maybe doing it for the first time?
We have a couple girls who have never gone to compete before, especially considering we didn't get to last year. So a good portion hasn't ever been there before, but it's incredibly nerve-wracking. You've got a large room full of multiple other teams, multiple other towns worth of people in there. The room's almost pitch black except for the huge light shining on the stage. It's just an adrenaline rush, the whole event of it, but the adrenaline of it is kind of what helps push us through, and it can be the adrenaline of the team that can make or break the routine too. So.
Yeah, and I go for a town like Brenham, obviously it may be difficult to kind of get a gauge on how many people there were. Look at a town like Burton. You could definitely see why Burton could kind of feel it that way. And if a tiny town like that entering that big of a room,
they don't have as. We're a bigger town, so we've got more opportunities to be in front of larger crowds like that. But I could see how that could be even more nerve-wracking because they're not used to as many people being in a small town. So
yeah, well, Thursday for Burton, Friday for you guys, the big days this week in Fort Worth. We certainly wish you guys the very best of luck in Fort Worth. And before we wrap things up in the sports corner, I'm going to take some time to go some of these big headlines in our Tuesday edition. I finally get to unravel this mess that we had to get the sports page actually appear up there. We do have an 8-page paper, but it is still jam-packed on Tuesday. Over on the news side, we have two stories from our reporter Sarah Forsyth. An afternoon of Sam Houston. That event took place over the weekend. That ended up turning out very well, and also some projects being delayed as far as the Highway 36 project is concerned. And also Nick Irene with a story on the Spray Neuter Assistance Program announced at the eve of last year. They are getting that up and rolling. On the sports side, we kind of gave you a peek here in case you haven't gotten the Tuesday paper. It is jam-packed as per usual. Basketball, soccer, you guys, everything that happens in a jam-packed weekend. It's going to create for a jam-packed sports section. That's exactly what we have for you on Tuesday's edition. Thursday's edition, Tuesday stuff, district games on the basketball side, all kinds of blend stuff. It'll be jam-packed as well. I can already guarantee you of that. To receive the local information that would matter to you, you can subscribe on our website, brenhambanner.com, or by calling 979-836-7956. Again, that website is brenhambanner.com, and that phone number, 979-836-7956. And our people will definitely be taking care of you, unlike this thing that just wants to fall down sometimes. But you know what? We are perfectly okay with that because it's still a very good product in here, despite... Well, it's just going to stay like that for right now as we sign off. Thank you so much again, Kailyn, for coming in. I've been Nicholas Hodel. Yeah, we certainly have appreciated having you on. Thank you so much again, and we will catch you all for myself next week. Keith's Broadcast Banner Press coming out on Friday. You can tune in, same platforms for that. Have a very good rest of your week, everyone.